Hey guys, welcome to DevOps School. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Rancher.
But before we begin, let me inform you few things about us. DevOps School is one of the leading platforms which offers DevOps, cloud and containers technology training and certification programs for freshers and established professionals who wish to update and consolidate their skills in the dynamic IT scenario. We ensure that the training solutions are delivered by highly experienced domain experts with practical working experience in various verticals. Check out the dates and enroll with us for our upcoming batches. For more info, link and contact details are mentioned in the description below.
So, let's get started. So, my name is Rajesh, and I'm going to introduce you the fundamental concept of Rancher in this session, and we'll get started with Rancher introductions. Slowly, you will understand what is Rancher, why do we need it, Rancher architecture, how a Rancher works, and all, and then some of the benefits, some of the use cases of Rancher, and then we get into the installations of Rancher and so on. So yes, this will be the kind of sessions topic which we'll get started with. So now, before that, let me ask one thing. For learning Rancher, there is one thing which is a prerequisite, and which is called Docker and Kubernetes. So that is the important skills to have it to learn Rancher. So I assume that you know that, correct?
Yes, before I have practiced some lab regarding Docker and Kubernetes because now
Yes.
I'm working in my project. I need to learn DevOps also. I have completed one course DevOps from center.
Yeah. So Docker and Kubernetes is prerequisite. So let's get started. So yeah. So let's understanding the need of multi Kubernetes management. Okay. And overview of Rancher and core concept. And then after that, understanding the Rancher architecture. Okay. So these are the topics which we will cover today. So is multi Kubernetes management is a real thing? Now, when I say multi Kubernetes management, that means here I'm trying to ask you to visualize and understand the use cases of a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let's say if you have one Kubernetes clusters, and I assume like you know the fundamental of Kubernetes and all. So Kubernetes clusters. So if you look at the organization, any organization, each organizations you have a multiple projects. Okay, and these projects also we have a different teams also. So we have a dev team, you have a QA team, you have a production teams, and teams also we have a different kind of environment also. So for example, if you take it up like uh, dev environment, QA environment, staging environment, integration environment, pre-prod environment, production environment, and all this thing. So basically, if you look at the organization, they have hundreds of projects or multiple projects, and each products you need multiple Kubernetes cluster. Yeah, some of them for dev, some of them for QA, some of them for production. I'm considering nowadays when you run application in the containers, which we are doing nowadays everywhere, we are running application in containers. So we need a multi Kubernetes clusters. The question is, very simple question is, if organization has hundreds of projects and each project you have, let's say 5 of Kubernetes clusters, so altogether with this calculation, organizations have 500 clusters, 500 Kubernetes cluster. The problem what we have here is how can we manage those 500 clusters, 500 Kubernetes clusters? Because we know that Kubernetes clusters manage the nodes, pods, and services and all stuff like that. But here we don't have one clusters. Each project, each organization, you have a 500 plus clusters, or maybe 100 clusters, maybe 50 clusters, maybe 20 clusters. Depends on the size of organizations. So how do we manage those clusters? That is the problem today we are solving. Okay. So here some of the stats which you can see here. 76% of enterprises will will have a standardize on the Kubernetes within a 3 years. Okay, that is the one stats. Here, if you look at this adoption rate for Kubernetes. So here the percentage of Kubernetes user with more than 5 cluster rose from 34% in 2017 to 2019, 39%. And I don't have a status for 2021 and all. If you look at it this year, you may have maybe crossing 50% or 55% or something like that. Second thing here, 61% of the Kubernetes user at organization with 5,000 or more employees have a more than 5 clusters. So the growing needs for the managing the multi-cluster for organization is also growing. Look at this here, the Kubernetes job demand. And here you must look at this Kubernetes, which is on the top 82% of the jobs nowadays, which is coming with a Kubernetes skill set. So this is growing actually. So organizations are adopting the Kubernetes. They are running application in with the containers. So same time. So when you are adopting the Kubernetes for running applications, and you have a multiple projects, multiple teams. So for that reason, you need to have a multiple Kubernetes clusters as well. How do you manage it? Okay. So here, if you look at this, who's managing the Kubernetes cluster? So the stats which you can see here is of 2021. Okay, from the Turbonomic, and now you see that. Look at this, the place where we can create a clusters, which includes Kubernetes, AKS from Azure, ECS, Redshift. ECS you can't create a Kubernetes cluster, but container cluster you can create. Amazon EKS for the Kubernetes again, Docker Swarm, Cisco Container Platform, GKE, and many things you can see. Amazon Fargate, Tanjus from the VMware, Pivotal, Mesosphere. So here you see that the growing need of containers platform. So here 56% are using at least one container platform today, and 79% of which are using commercial Kubernetes. Okay, so you can see that the stats. Now the question is, how do we manage the Kubernetes cluster, multiple Kubernetes clusters? So these are the solutions again from the same slides. You see that the EKS, which is from the Amazon, is primarily holding the ownership up to the 30%. After that GKE, and then followed by Azure. And you see that fifth number, Rancher Kubernetes. So that means that is holding 10.2% of the market share. Again, this is a 2019 survey. You definitely, and Rancher Kubernetes is growing in terms of popularity and then uses. So of course, if you see the latest data, you have the little bit different pictures. So overall, what we need to solve the problems of multiple Kubernetes clusters management. Again, if you look at the slides here we have adoption rate for the multi-cloud with the enterprises. That means organizations usually they are running their application not in one cloud but multiple cloud. Okay, maybe they are running on AWS or private data centers as well, or Azure, or multiple together also. So here you see that enterprises embraces multi-cloud, which is out of 92% of enterprises have a multi-cloud strategy. 80% have a hybrid cloud strategy. 49% silo workload by the cloud, and 45% integrating data between the clouds. Only 42% of all participating organizations are multi-cloud management tools. That means only 42% of the people who are having a management tools to manage a multi-cloud. So still 58% people needs the platform where they can manage the multiple cloud. I'm not talking the container world here. I'm talking about the virtual machines world. Respondent use an average of 2.6 public and 2.7 private clouds. So yeah, this is the image from the 2021. So here you see that the use of multi-cloud management tools are growing. So here you see 42% people have said they have used the multi-cloud cost management tool. 38% people say they have used the multi-cloud security tools. 33% people are saying multi-cloud management tool, whereas 33% also they're saying the multi-cloud governance tools as per the 2021. Now that means still multi-cloud platform is not adopted by 58%, 62%, 67%, and so on. So still you have a scope of good market. On top of that, it's not about the multi-cloud, but it's all about the multi-Kubernetes management solution. I started my discussion with the same thing, because nowadays you are not running applications in virtual machines. Nowadays you are running applications in the container, and you want to orchestrate the container at the greater level. Then we use Kubernetes. We had earlier solutions like Docker Swarm and Mesos, but that is now not in use. So the question is, let's understand the use cases of multi-Kubernetes management solutions. So here, use cases of multi-Kubernetes management solution, which helps you to provision multi-cloud. I repeat, multi-cloud. Multi-cloud means you can provision the Kubernetes clusters using AWS. Using the same tool, you can use the Google Cloud. Using the same tool, you can create a Kubernetes cluster in Azure, or maybe private clusters also, private data centers as well. So when one cloud offers a better solutions, lower cost for the higher performance, high throughput workload, deployed to any Kubernetes clusters are easier across the clouds. Okay, so that means, let's say, if you have one cloud which is offering the costly services, so immediately you can migrate it to the another cloud services if you have a tools like a multi-Kubernetes management platform. Again, using the multiple Kubernetes management, you can distribute applications and multi-site active and active you can create. Keep clusters synced in real time and to distribute workload continuously and immediately. You can also set up multi-cloud monitoring challenges, and you can also industrialize the monitoring for Kubernetes cluster for any cloud. So these are the huge cases for multi-Kubernetes management. That means if you have a one tool which is can manage the multiple Kubernetes clusters, these are the use cases. These are the things. And now that is where the Rancher is coming into the picture. Okay, so Rancher is known for managing the multiple clusters from the single console for entire organization. So yeah, organization, if they have hundreds of projects and each product they required 5 of clusters. So yes, Rancher will help each project to create the clusters in ease of way, and also managing the clusters with the ease of few clicks and stuff like that. So are you able to understand the use cases of Rancher? Son?
Yes, and per my understanding, we use Rancher for manage a lot of cluster in Kubernetes, right?
Yeah, so lots of Kubernetes clusters you can create, you can destroy, you can manage using this platform. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, not one clusters, multiple clusters. So here, yes, overview of Rancher. Rancher Lab is an open source software company based out of California, United States. They have a multiple open source product focused in the container and Kubernetes space. Rancher is a flagship product. It is an open source Kubernetes management platform. I repeat, it is an open source Kubernetes management platform for enterprises. Rancher includes everything needed to deploy, operate, and secure multiple Kubernetes clusters across any infrastructure, including AKS, EKS, ZK, on-premises, and at the edge. That means using the Rancher, you can create, you can deploy, you can operate, you can secure the multiple Kubernetes cluster, irrespective of which cloud you want to use it. Rancher support all these clouds. Okay, Rancher is most widely used Kubernetes management platform with 13,000 plus GitHub stars, 100 plus millions downloads, 30,000 plus active users, and 2.7 million plus containers managed. Okay, so this is a solution for every enterprises. Those who wants to manage the multiple Kubernetes cluster, deploy, operate, and secure. Okay, some of the histories which you can see here. So in 2014, Rancher Lab founded in 2014 as a container management platform for all popular container orchestration. So at that time, there were so many container orchestration tools we had. Now also we have it, but Docker is the most popular one. So here we have Docker Swarm, we have a Kubernetes, we have Mesos, Nomad. Okay, many tools. Nomad has recently come. So there are so many tools where we can manage the containers, orchestrate the containers. Whereas 2015, Rancher Labs officially launched the first version of Rancher and was funded with a $10 million. In 2016, Rancher funded with a $20 million, shifting all focus to Kubernetes. That means Rancher discarded all the support for Docker Swarm and Mesos, which is in a competition with the Kubernetes, and started focusing on Kubernetes for the orchestrating the containers. And in 2020, Rancher acquired by SUSE with a $600 million. That means Rancher is now a SUSE company. Okay, it's owned by SUSE. So what Rancher can do that? Rancher reduce Kubernetes complexity. Okay, Rancher reduces Kubernetes complexity, which helps you to, in terms of if you want to deploy a cluster of Kubernetes, just like within a few seconds, you can cluster deployment, you can manage it or operate it, you can secure the each clusters and everything. So deploy and monitor clusters on any infrastructure. Any infrastructure means it can be cloud or your private data centers. It can be any clouds like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud or something like that. Also, you have a centralized security policy management. That means from the one place, you can manage the security policies for the entire clusters, all the clusters of your organizations from one place. It has the centralized RBAC control also. Now, my questions to you is, what is RBAC?
Yes, I have experience on Azure and Amazon Cloud.
Yeah, so what is RBAC?
Sorry.
So what is RBAC in Kubernetes?
Yeah, Kubernetes I have installed and deploy many pods on that and scale up, scale down, and replicate.
Yeah, so let me tell you here, if you want to become a pro in Rancher, you have to become a pro in Kubernetes. Why? Because using Rancher, we manage the Kubernetes clusters. So you need to be aware of container like a Docker and Kubernetes. Now, RBAC basically is a role-based access control. Using that in Kubernetes, you manage the permissions for users, groups, and system service accounts. Okay, so this is a way to manage the authorizations. Okay, so yes, here let's understand the problems here. If enterprises, let's say we have a 50 Kubernetes clusters, and if so, what you need to do in order to secure the clusters, you need to manage the 24 different RBAC controls, and that's going to be too much of task. You may probably enterprises may have to hire so many engineers, but here with the using Rancher, you can manage security policies and RBAC controls and protect and recovery for the clusters from centralized from one place. So that's one of the advantage which will help you which will be helped by Rancher. Rancher also helps you to managing the workload. So here, Rancher will help you to deploy and orchestrate apps. Apps means any apps which you want to run it in the clusters. Okay, and ready-made apps you can run it and make it available for the end user. Also, Rancher can integrate with the CI/CD and GitOps. CI/CD means you can use with the Jenkins, Terraform, GitOps, Argo CD, and stuff like that. You can use it and contain a self-service app catalog. App catalog means, let's say you want to install, let's say 5 list of services in each cluster, so that you can create a catalog, some sort of template. So that is managed by Rancher. Again, Rancher is open source with an enterprise focus, 100% free and open source. Works with the cluster in any environment, Kubernetes as a service, no vendor lock-in, and paid supports are available. Okay, so are you able to understand at the high level what Rancher will help you?
Yes, I got it.
Yep. So look at this here. This is a good slide which talks about how Rancher unified the multi-cluster app management. So here you can see the image, your cloud, the Kubernetes clusters. It can be in a public cloud like a GKE, Amazon EC2, RKE, cluster nodes, vSphere, or private cloud like RKE and cluster nodes, okay, or DigitalOcean, anything. Rancher will help you from one place. So no matter irrespective of the where you are running the clusters, Kubernetes clusters, you can manage from one place. So Rancher not only deploy a production grade Kubernetes cluster from the data center to cloud to the edge, it also unites them with the centralized authentications. Yes, I repeat, unite them, all the clusters, with the centralized authentications, access control, and observability. Observability means, any clue? What is the meaning of observability? Son, are you there?
Can you repeat again?
So what do you think about observability? Is one of the keyword which all operations engineer must know. What is the observability?
Yeah, observe viability is mean Rancher can deploy, can handle a lot of cluster from private cloud, public cloud, and
Yeah,
on-premise. I think
yeah. Let's put it in
it's
this way.
very
Let's put it in this way. Let's say, understand in a simple use case scenario, you have
yeah.
10 Kubernetes clusters deployed at the 10 different platform, public cloud or private cloud. So now in that case, you have a 10 authentication system, 10 access control, and 10 observability setup. Now, question was, what is your observability? So observability is a keyword nowadays. It's a very popular in the operations and SRE domain. Okay. Now using that, you can set up end-to-end monitoring. Now end-to-end monitoring, which includes infrastructure monitoring, log monitoring, performance monitoring, synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring, security monitoring. So all these monitoring requirements which you need to set up for your production grade servers, that's all keywords, put it together and we call it observability. That means here what I'm trying to say, if you have a 10 clusters, you need to have a 10 authentications mechanism, 10 access control, 10 observability setup. But with the help of Rancher, you can unify everything. You can unite them together, and everything for every clusters you can manage from one place. That means you can do the monitoring, end-to-end monitoring, centralized authentication, and centralized access control from one place using Rancher. Are you understanding? Are you understanding? Hello? Hello?
This conference
So
will
yes,
now be recorded.
yes. So Ranches lets you streamline cluster deployment on bare metal, private clouds, public clouds, or vSphere, and secure them using the global security policies. You can use Helm or our app catalog to deploy and manage applications across any or all these environments, ensuring multi-cluster consistency with a single deployment. So let's say you have 10 clusters and you want to deploy something similar app in the all 10 clusters, which is a part of your projects. And if you want to do it using if you want to do it, you have to do deploy 10 deployment, but using Rancher, you still it will become a one deployment. So that way the consistency can be managed. Okay. So there are few more use cases. There are few more advantages what we have, and for the IT operators. So if they use the if IT operators use the Rancher, they get a unified multi-cluster management, centralized app catalog, consistent security policies and compliance, support with a hybrid and multi-cloud support, accelerate DevOps adoption, freedom to innovate. Whereas the developers also will get the tools, works with the tool you already love. That means Docker and containers. Deploy complex microservices application. Developers can do that using Rancher. Attract developers talent. Okay. Demystify service mesh, maximize developer productivity and accelerate staff onboarding. In terms of technology leaders, yes, Rancher will help you in terms of DevOps transformation. That means team can do everything from the dev to QA to operations. Everything can be done by the DevOps team. And that is where the Rancher is a one common platform for everyone. So it will help you to do the DevOps transformation. Also, it will help you to increase productivity and collaborations, cloud native economics, and ideal for 5G, big data, AI, ML, and use cases. So yes. Now the question you must be having in your mind: who's using Rancher? 400 plus enterprises are using and counting on daily basis. Some of these are here. You can see on my screen. Okay. Now, what is the adoption rate for Rancher? So here you see that extreme right side, if you see that Rancher is in the leader in this category. So anyone who wants to manage the multi Kubernetes clusters with each, and the Rancher is a preferred one. It's in leaders. Again, you see that the left side in terms of maturity, in terms of platform, in terms of innovation, in terms of feature play and all everything, the Rancher is leading actually in every, it's outperforming in every areas. So that's one of the skills to have it and stuff like that. With that, let's understand some of the concept keyword which we use in the Rancher. Okay, I just said Docker and Kubernetes is a prerequisite to have this knowledge to work on Rancher. So cluster is nothing but a Kubernetes cluster actually. So which we understand in short form, collections of machines that run containerized application managed by Kubernetes. Namespace, which is a part of the Kubernetes again, of virtual clusters, multiple of which can be supported by a single physical cluster. Node, which is empowering the clusters, it can be one or multiple physical or virtual nodes, which makes up to a cluster. Pod, we know that, which we run in the Kubernetes. Inside the pod, we have a container. So a pod represents a set of running containers on your clusters. Deployments is an API object that manages the replicated application. And workload. Workload is nothing but the unit of work that are running on clusters. These can be pod or deployment. So yes, these keywords are not from Rancher. These keywords are from the Kubernetes. So here, the one which I'm talking about is Kubernetes cluster, Kubernetes namespace, Kubernetes node, Kubernetes pod, Kubernetes deployment, Kubernetes workload. That is what is being managed by Rancher. So I hope you are familiar with these are the concepts. Any questions so far?
Yes, I got it. I have deploy Kubernetes and deploy post on that.
Yes.
So I got the concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So now the question is, how can we host Rancher? That means, simple way, if I say, how can we install or where can we install the Rancher? How can we get this Rancher? So Rancher can be installed with a Docker itself. That means if you have a Docker alone, Rancher can be deployed in a Linux server that is running with a Docker. Rancher will be deployed in a containers running in a Docker. Okay, so that is possible. This Docker can be in a virtual machines, which is of the cloud or on premises or bare metal. Also, it can be. So basically, yes, Rancher can be deployed with the Docker as a Docker containers. Very much possible, but that is not recommended one. Second solution what we have is SUSE Rancher Hosted. Means you, I said right, Rancher has been bought by SUSE company. So SUSE has been having one offering. So SUSE has a hosting offering for Rancher. So this hosting service is white glove and support your on-premises and cloud infrastructure. Yes, SUSE will install, upgrade, and handle day-by-day operations of your Rancher. That means it's a hosted solution. You can say it's like a service, like a software as a service. That means they will manage your installations of Rancher and they will take care of your upgrade and the backup and everything. You can deploy, you can use Rancher, which is hosted by SUSE, to deploy your cluster, which can be a multi-cloud. That means you can deploy a Kubernetes clusters, one on your AWS, one in Google Cloud, one in Azure, or something like that. So this Rancher can be hosted at SUSE also. That we call it a SUSE Rancher hosted, the one which we are not doing it. This service supports your own Kubernetes cluster, AKS, EKS, JKN, and stuff like that. Recommended for the produce. But as part of the session, I'm going to use third one. Yes, Rancher can be deployed. Rancher as a software can be deployed in the Kubernetes cluster. Yes, the same Kubernetes cluster which you said just now, you set it up. So you set up a Kubernetes cluster and install Rancher. I repeat, you set up a Kubernetes cluster and install the Rancher into it. That means you run one Kubernetes cluster for running the Rancher into it. Are you understanding? Are you understanding?
Yes. Yes.
So yes, you can set up a clusters anywhere. Okay, you can set it in AWS, you can set it in a GK, you can set it in a Prime, you can set up in your laptop also. So theoretically, you can install the Rancher anywhere. So third options I will use as part of this session demo, and I'll do the same thing. Okay, so these are the options for hosting Rancher. Third options we are opting for it. Yes, so let's have some of the products of Rancher, which is very popular, and the one which we are discussing anyways. This product, the one which we are discussing from last 30-40 minutes, is managing the Kubernetes installed in your local or remote development environment. Is so much easier with Rancher. Now, with the full support for Windows container also. That means this Rancher is supporting Windows containers also. Each service mesh also has been supported, and on top of that, the new version is coming with the enhanced security for cloud native workload. That means security has been enhanced. And Rancher helps developers innovate faster and with greater confidence. That's one product which we are learning. But Rancher as a community, they do have a multiple products. This one I was discussing about it. If you want to install the Rancher at a huge platform, you can use this hosted Rancher services. So hosted Rancher is a white glove DevOps service for the Rancher control plane available to Platinum subscription customer only. Hosted Rancher is the fastest, safest, most cost-effective path to multi-clusters Kubernetes in your enterprises. So again, it's a paid services hosted by SUSE and available for the production grade. and backup, upgrade, and everything they are taking care of it. So using this Rancher, which is hosted by SUSE, you can create a clusters on any clouds actually. It's wide supported. We have one more tool which is called RKE. So what is RKE? So we call it Rancher Kubernetes Engine. Okay. So now RKE is a lightning fast CNCF certified Kubernetes distribution. What does that mean? So understand that Kubernetes is having multiple distributions. Okay. Kubernetes is having multiple distributions. The one Kubernetes which you can download from the open source website, which is like a GitHub and all, that Kubernetes, first of all, Kubernetes is developed by organization called CNCF. So they have multiple distributions. One, they have their own Kubernetes distribution. One is supported by AWS. Another one is like from Google, Azure, DigitalOcean. So there are so many distributions available for the Kubernetes because it's open source. So here RK is the distribution developed by Rancher. So what I'm trying to say here is RK is a lightning fast CNCF certified Kubernetes distribution that run entirely within a containers and solve the common frustration of installation complexity. That means in a simple way, RK is a tool to set up a Kubernetes cluster with the ease. Again, I'm repeating, RK is a tool to set up a Kubernetes cluster with the ease. With RK, the operation of Kubernetes is usually automated and entirely independent of operating system and platform you are running. It builds the clusters from a single command. Yes, entire clusters you must have set up the Kubernetes, and you must remember that how many commands you have running. But using RK, you can build a cluster with a single command. That's the magic about it. Okay, so it built a cluster from a single command in just a few minutes, and it declarative configuration makes Kubernetes upgrade automatic and safe. So this is one more tool we are going to use. Another tool which we have is K3s. What is a K3s? Again, K3s is a lightweight certified Kubernetes distribution built for running production workload inside IoT appliances or at network edge. So this is probably we will not get into that. Okay, but this is also a package available for the installing the Kubernetes in IoT appliances and all stuff like that. K3s is packaged as a single less than 40 MB binary for both x86 and ARM processors, and it works great on something as small as Raspberry Pi. So this is out of the context of this session. So we have. There is one tool I must mention here, Longhorn. Okay, this tool is very important. So here, Longhorn is a 100% open source distributed block storage built for Kubernetes. Now the question is, what is a block storage? Son, any idea?
Block storage. I think we need to save data on storage, right? So
yeah.
we have a lot of storage, so we cannot handle easy.
Yeah. So there are different kind of storage types which we have. If you go to the AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or any platform.
There are many platforms, Amazon Web Service.
Yes.
Or in physical.
Yes. So there are different kind of storage technology we have. Block storage, the one which we call it in AWS EBS, or in Azure we call it a disk. Okay. So which store the data in the block. It's like laptop storage is also considered to be a block storage. We have one more object of storage type, which is called object storage. Object storage like a Google Drive or S3 is object storage. Git is object storage. There's one more storage type which is called NFS, network file system. So in AWS we have an EFS, okay, or set up a network NFS server. So that is a network file system. Yes. So Longhorn is 100% open source distributed block storage built for Kubernetes. That means in a Kubernetes, if you want to have a block storage which is based on the distributed, you can use this one. Also started by Rancher Labs, Longhorn is now a CNCF governed project. When used with Rancher, Longhorn increases the developer and ITOps efficiency by making persistent storage easy to deploy with a single click and without a cost overhead of proprietary alternatives. It also reduces the resources required to manage data and operate environment, enabling team to focus on shipping the code faster and delivering the better. So in simple way, if I say in a Kubernetes, in a Rancher, if you want to use multiple Kubernetes clusters and if you want to deploy the block storage technologies, Longhorn, you can use it with the ease. Okay. So now let's discuss about what about, let's say if you use the Rancher, which is 100% open source or commercially supported version. So the only one difference here you can see that is like support. So open source, you have no supports, but if you go for the commercially supported version, which is hosted bird, where you get a 24/7 support and stuff like that. So yep. Again, they have a two kind of supports in a commercial version also. The standard support, which is a 12/5 support. Priority support is like a 24/7 support. So yes, if you want to opt for Anchor, that one, so you can go for it. But we will try the open source. Yes. So that is the understanding about the what is Rancher, why do we need it, what are the use cases of it, and some of the advantages and stuff like that. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
I have questions. When I deploy Rancher, do I need to deploy in PC core and in cloud also, right? For manage cluster
Yes.
RKE.
When you want to deploy Rancher, we have to set up first Kubernetes cluster, and using that Helm packages and all, we can deploy Rancher into that. So you can have this cluster, the Kubernetes clusters. Though I said, remember that here there are three options available. You can deploy the Rancher using the Docker also, but we are using Kubernetes because ultimately using the Rancher, you manage the Kubernetes clusters, multiple Kubernetes clusters. So that's a good thing. We are not going to use the hosted one. That's the basis.
Yeah, I mean that's if I want to manage. I have one server. I have installed Rancher. So how can I manage the cluster in physical, in cloud? Do I need to install RKE also, right?
No. Using the Rancher itself, you'll be able to create clusters on GKE, and you'll be able to create a clusters on AWS from the single console. And now after that, you will be able to manage from the same Rancher. You can manage the storage, you can manage the compute, you can manage the security policies, authentication, authorization from the Rancher itself.
Yeah, I got it because I just deploy Kubernetes, so I have a little bit confused Rancher with Kubernetes. Yeah.
Okay, so probably I understood this. Let me put it in this way. Please try to understand here. So let's say you want to deploy multiple Kubernetes cluster. I repeat, it's a multiple Kubernetes cluster. I'll create one cluster. This is one cluster. Now this cluster is powered by 3 nodes. Okay, so 1 node, 2 node. Now this is the one cluster. So now let's say you want to have one cluster, this one, second clusters here you have, third clusters here you have, and fourth cluster here you have. Now these are the Kubernetes clusters. Okay, these are the Kubernetes clusters. So yeah, so here now the question is when the number of clusters will grow, it will be very difficult you to manage. This is the Kubernetes cluster. 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 You know what? You want to create few more clusters. You want to destroy these clusters. You want to operate this. You want to manage this cluster. You want to add something, some nodes. You want to remove some nodes. You want to manage the RBAC, security, authentication, authorizations. Everything you want to do it. So what tool we should have? That's where that Rancher is coming in. Rancher is a software which is coming. Now the question was how to install Rancher. So what I'm saying, hey, let's have one clusters for Rancher itself and deploy this Rancher into these clusters. That's what I'm saying. Here. Got it?
Yes, I got it. You mean we just install one rancher on one machine, right? And we can manage Kubernetes cluster, right?
Yes. Yes. So this is also cluster. This is also cluster, but this Rancher is installed in this cluster. This can manage this cluster also, this cluster also, this cluster also, this cluster also, and whereas this can be on AWS, this can be in a GKE, it can be in Azure, and it can be in a private data center. So everything you have to manage from the Rancher, and this is you here.
Yeah, I got it. But in AWS, in Azure, do we need to install the agent for rancher or not? Or just install in one machine will be
Yeah, so you can install in
rancher?
one machine also. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
This Kubernetes you can install in anywhere. Kubernetes cluster you can install in your laptop, in virtual machines, or in the clouds, public and private, anywhere.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.
Hello everyone, if you would like to access the remaining videos of this playlist of 50 plus more tools which are coming under DevOps, DevSecOps, SRE, DataOps, GitOps, etc. Kindly become our channel members by clicking on the joining button. You would have access to 100s of playlists and 1000s of videos lifetime access with this membership. Enjoy.